Hello YouTube, my name is Tyler and this is going to be a mid-month check-in. I haven't been vlogging. I did have that book haul video, so I did kind of still want to get back into the swing of recording a little more regularly, but just not feeling the vlog style stuff lately. So it's August 16th, right around the halfway point of August, and so I decided I'll check in and give you my thoughts on the books that I've read so far, so I'm not trying to remember all my thoughts and feelings at the very end of the month. So let's see what I read this month. I think I read 6 books this month. So I read Last Night in Nuuk by Niviak Corneliusen. I gave that 3 stars. I don't know, the writing just did not work for me. It was told in the perspective of 4 or 5 different people, and I don't know. It was queer because people were understanding or starting to discover and understand their identities, but there was just something about the writing that just didn't work for me. There was a lot of ideas going on. Just realized I left the dehumidifier running. So the way it was, the author chose to write this in all the different perspectives, really just didn't work for me, and I just didn't quite love the writing style in general. So I gave it 3 stars. The Feminist and the Sex Offender Confronting Harm, Ending State Violence by Judith Levine and Erica R. Miners. I gave this 3 stars, although it was actually 2.5. That got rounded up. I wrote a review for it on Goodreads, so let me read that to you and then I'll see if I have anything else I want to add. This book was messy. There's a lot of good info in here and things to think about, but for such a delicate topic, I found the author's tone to be off. It was technically easy to read, which was nice for me after I struggled through abolition geography, but the matter-of-fact, almost blasé nature of how they talked about very serious harms was off-putting and even grating at points. I felt like I was missing some of the connective explanatory pieces or language that could have put what they were saying into context with less alarm at the suggestions or information that was being put forward. I also found part 3 in where they tried to imagine a better world to be lackluster. It was described as a sketch in the opening chapter, and it definitely was a rough sketch. Yeah, so those are the big things. This is such a delicate topic. It is talking about incarceration and sex offense, so sexual assault, rape, child abuse, things of that nature. And I don't know, the way the authors chose to write about it was just off-putting. I definitely see the value in talking about this. I have for a while been aware of the issues around things like the sex offender registry. So it's not something I was completely opposed to thinking about or grappling with, but I don't feel like they ever truly grappled with the seriousness of the sexual offenses. So I can understand both sides of it, where what would be termed carceral feminist in this book want to push for stricter punishments for sexual assaults of all types, because they are very traumatic, they're very harmful, they are bad things. But I also understand this side of over-policing and the problems with the prison industrial complex. And I don't feel like they truly worked to kind of untangle the very emotional side of the carceral feminist perspective. So yeah, it just was off. There was lots of good nuggets of information in here, but then there were sections where I'm like, what the fuck did you just say? Anyways, so that's my thoughts on that. Another thing I read, actually this was an audiobook, was The Cold Vanish, Seeking the Missing in North America's Wildlands by John Billman. This was also 3 stars. I wanted a little bit more from this, or I wanted to connect to it more than I actually did. This is a story that talks about one particular person who went missing in a national forest or a national park, national wild land, and then it connects to some other missing people who have gone missing, and just kind of like how federal law enforcement and just law enforcement in the area respond to missing people in forests, basically. And I do enjoy a like survive in the wilderness missing people story, but I don't know, this just like didn't connect for me for some reason. I'm not really quite sure why. I will say one of the things that just like kept kind of getting a little off-putting for me was the author did keep referencing the missing 411 guy, and I just like do not believe, I'm not convinced by this like idea that there's like some grand conspiracy for the missing people in national lands. And like the author mentioned, like he wasn't citing him necessarily as a source or like an authoritative source, or like saying he agreed, and honestly he mentioned like the controversies, but the fact that it just kept coming up, and like he used some of his like data, I guess, I don't know, like the research that he had compiled, I don't know, it just made it really hard for me personally, and that's like a me issue. So yeah. Another thing I read was Lay Your Body Down by Amy Suter Clark. I gave this 3 stars. This one was so disappointing for me because the beginning started out so strong. I had DNF'd a couple of books before this. What did I DNF? I DNF'd Just Like Mother and Little Eyes, and Just Like Mother had like a culty vibe to it, but I just like it could not connect with it, and then it became very clear that it was going to be like a forced pregnancy situation, and I was just like, I'm not into that at all. And so this is also cult, but is like specifically like evangelical religious, like Christian religious cult. And immediately I was just like really invested and interested in what was going on. And so like, I don't know, the first third I was like, ooh, I think this might be a 4-star like thriller. And like it felt like the first time in a while that I was like actually just enjoying a book. And I was like, if it ends really well, maybe it could even be like a 4.5, which would get rounded up to 5. And it's been so long since I've read like a thriller that I loved. So I was really into it. It was very easy to read. Like, and then around like the middle third, I was like, this is feeling more like a 3. I started getting less invested. It wasn't as like extreme culty as I was hoping it was gonna be at the beginning. And you know, that's fine. I can appreciate some like patriarchal, religious, controlling vibes. Like I can get down with that without it being like an actual like cult like, you know, real weird stuff. But like a romance plot got started like getting thrown in, and I was like, I'm not loving this. The way the romance was written was really cringe to me in particular. It felt like a fan fiction where you like insert yourself, and like just the way the flirting was written just felt very juvenile to me. And I think it was like partially on purpose because the main character had been stilted by this patriarchal church that she had grown up in, and she was like supposed to be completely subservient to men, and she had been like, you know, emotionally stunted at that age. But it just like made my skin crawl, and not in a good way. But by the end, I did not like it. I considered giving it like 2 stars. It got down to, like I said, a 3. Yeah, I mean, like I figured out the mystery, honestly, in the first third. Like it was so clear to me what was happening. Her like detective Nancy Drew vibes was not it for me. The reveals in the end I did not like. I don't know, by the end I was just like, I want to be done with this book. This is why I don't read thrillers anymore. Like, it's just a novel of suspense, so it's not like actually a thriller like it's not like constant twists and turns and like high impact action and stuff, but like just by the end I was like, this is why I don't read this shit anymore. And it was really disappointing because it felt so strong in the beginning, and by the end I was like, I don't like any of this. I don't like it. So yeah, those are my thoughts on that. Another thing I listened to was A Psalm for the Wild Built by Becky Chambers. This is a novella, like a sci-fi fantasy type novella. It exists in a world, I can't, Pangan, I think. One character is a tea monk, and they're trying to find like meaning in their life, and eventually runs into a robot named Moscap. And in this world, the robots have like gained sentience, sort of. This is making it sound very like intense and sci-fi, and it's really not. But they have decided to go off and separate from humans, and so they've been living these separate lives for hundreds of years, and this is like the first time humans and robots have interacted. And so Moscap is like going on a mission to see what the humans are up to for the robots, and runs into Des, the tea monk. And Moscap is helping Des, and Des is going to help Moscap. And it's just like their sweet little friendship, and like it sounds very serious and complex, and it's really truly not. The first, like, I don't know, quarter, when it was just Des, I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna like this. I might not even read the second one. But once Moscap gets introduced, I absolutely loved Moscap, the robot character. I loved how the narrator did Moscap's voice. I just loved the little wholesome adventure they went on. I can't wait to see what they're gonna do when they get to Penguin, and they're working together and they're doing stuff. It was just a sweet, wholesome little read. I can't wait to read book 2. Well, listen to book 2. I'm waiting for it from the library. So yes, I enjoyed that. Oh, did I say how I gave it 4 stars? 4 stars. I could see book 2 getting 5 stars, since I'm not having to deal with like the slow build up to meeting Moscap. Moscap should be there from the start, so I look forward to that. Oh, and just the only other thing I read was I finished a single volume of Yowamushi Pedal. I finished volume 7. They're officially in the like inter-high city race or whatever, this like high school big race. And yeah, that's all that's been going on. So yeah, those are the things I read. That's what my thoughts and feelings were. Really only the Psalm for the Wild Built was really the only thing I enjoyed besides the manga that I've been enjoying since last month. Actually since June, I think. I'm reading a couple things right now, but I'm not going to get into it because I'll talk about it in my next check-in video. At this rate, I should finish 14 books this month, but we'll see if that holds up. Alright, bye.